What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. Today we jump into dev note number 13, which is going to probably be a huge dev note for some and probably a drop in the bucket for others. But let's jump into this. Let's start off with Wolverine because it is announced. The new superhero Wolverine is coming to Marvel Future Revolution for the August update. So here's the picture of him that they have inside the in the dev note. I think that is a really cool looking uniform. Little bit of color differences and changes here, but I really must say this is one of the things that Marvel Future Revolution simply excels at above its competitors. Marvel Future Fight, Marvel Contest of Champions, Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Super War, you name it, with current games currently on the market, and they do such an excellent job at costume development. I think the guys over at Marvel's Avengers could learn a lot from them in terms of costume design, but they just look absolutely amazing, and this is amazing look for Wolverine. So I have no doubt that he's gonna have, from this, I have no doubt that he's gonna have some seriously good looking costumes. I mean, the detail that they put inside the helmet alone is really cool, not to mention the arm here that we have for his exposed arm over here. You don't see a lot of games do that for Wolverine. I don't know why we have pouches on him, but okay, whatever. It is what it is. It's their unique design for him. He's even got some knee pads and stuff like that. They're unique designs. They do a fantastic job above everybody else. What it does prove, however, is that graphics don't mean everything, and people need a gameplay loop. So let's jump into Wolverine's skills. I'm going to pull this up on the screen so that way you guys can see it, because I think it's easier for you to follow along that way. So they specifically mention Wolverine's unmatched healing ability, his claws of adamantium, and his animalistic senses and no sense attitude. So this is really good. They understand the very basic nature of what the character is, and hopefully that reflects inside of his class skills. The one good thing that I'm happy to see is that one of the signature attributes of Wolverine is his unparalleled recovery, and this ability allows him to continuously recover HP. What this basically means, as I told you guys in the previous video, is that means that your yellow cores are going to now have use. Whether you're using HP cores or HP recovery cores, getting a yellow badge is not going to feel like a death knell, like, you know, you're just like, what the hell? It's going to actually mean something, because you can invest those HP cores into a character like Wolverine to help boost his HP and his HP recovery, giving some vitality to that stat overall. Now, this should have been done for a number of characters like Captain America. This should have been done for other characters as well inside the game that do have healing effects. Magic is one of those characters. Scarlet Witch has healing effects as well. This should have been done for those characters, but it's nice to see this. The problem with this is that this is a long game, right? We don't know that Wolverine's coming as the 5th, 6th update. There's no roadmap for these things. Why the game refuses to release a roadmap to us about characters that are coming up in the year, or, you know, however often they're going to be, doesn't make sense. I mean, realistically, we've had Magic, we had rolled from Magic in December, had to wait all the way until like May for Scarlet Witch, and now here we are in August, which means we probably won't see another character until probably about November, December timeframe, which means that we're on a rough schedule of maybe 3 characters every year. This is not a good schedule, especially where the content's not improving and we don't have anything inside here for content. But let's jump back to Wolverine and let's look at these skills. So we've got Swift Strike. It uses enhanced physique to aim a target to inflict more powerful damage or apply additional effects. So things like the target's movement and debuffs will apply when conditions are satisfied. So this will probably make him a good PvP character. So that he's being released alongside of squad battle is going to make this guy one of those characters that you're like, yeah, I have to have him on my squad battle team. It's probably also going to make him a pretty decent character inside of Dimension Duels. Maybe not so much depending on how his HP recovery works inside like Alliance Omega War and stuff like that. So he could be a very useful PvP character. How this will reflect inside of PvE is going to be the thing. Are we going to start seeing characters that kind of pan out like that? We already have characters that are good for certain modes and not good for other modes. Maybe he'll be a PvP specific one-shot kind of character. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm not really enthusiastic about debuffs that they have in these games. They don't seem, in this game, they don't seem to last long enough to really be as impactful as you would want them to be. Second up, we've got his Adamantium Claws, a skill class that weakens enemies by using the Adamantium Claws that he got from the Weapon X project. Okay, whatever. So it's going to apply Rupture, apply buffs on self and on allies. Now, these tend to have better effects, right? So you see like here, like Rupture decreases the target's defense and stacks effects. So are we going to see like healing buffs to other characters, or are we going to see like leadership kind of buffs be applied to other characters, being like, hey, you know what, well, here goes a buff to all of the other characters in terms of like rage or attack percentage or something like this. This is something that should have been done for other characters inside the game mode. Like Iron Man, for instance, is a selfish leader, so you don't expect him to have any significant ally buffs, whereas a person like Captain America has his battle cry and stuff like that, so he buffs his rallying cry, so he buffs other people. It's one of the signatures of that character, right? You look at a character like Doctor Strange, he should be applying buff effects across the field to other people, so that way he can be in that control support character. And Wolverine, leading from the front, he inspires people to continue the fight even when things look dangerous, because he's just so gung-ho about it, and it rallies people to him anyways. So seeing that he's going to have that should be good to see. I'm interested to see what kind of buffs they're going to have. Get rid of the stack effects. Then we've got Ultimate Weapon, a skill class that inflicts damage by instantly reducing the distance to the enemy as if hunting a prey. I'm going to imagine something in the vein of Scarlet Witch here, or maybe Magic, I guess. But yeah, weapon characteristics, fast attack speed, and consistently tracks the target. I'm not exactly sure where they're going with this one. This one might be the fail, might be end up playing between Adamantium Claws and Swift Strikes. We'll have to see what those skills. It's like almost every character has three class skills, and one of those class skills just like waste by the side. So it's just like, all right, whatever. So we'll have to see what that's going to be, but they're currently adjusting and testing his balance before they wrap up. I don't like seeing these things. When you tell me that is the August update, we're mid-August at this point, and you're still testing and adjusting his balances when you've already announced the character. I know that that's typical like game cycle where you're like in the weeds on that stuff right almost until up the time that you're going to release, but we're talking about adjusting and testing his balance. You should have had tested his balance before you announced this character. Like, that's the truth of the matter. This game needs a global lab server, so that way players can adjust for those characters and give some feedback to the developers, because whatever's going on in the development team is either not that big, it's too small, or they're just not hitting the mark in terms of what the players are seeking, and that's a bad thing overall. So I would like to see that. So that's the Wolverine character in a nutshell, and I think that's the biggest part of the update. We have a new character coming in, Wolverine. I am very tempted to switch over to him just because I am simply bored out of my gourd playing Doctor Strange across certain modes, and I just need something new to be enthused about inside this game. As you can see inside my game from looking at some of like my crystals that I've been gaining, some of my gold numbers, I haven't even been purchasing anything in the shop. This is crystals that have just been acquired. This is just gold that's just been sitting there because I don't... Yeah, we'll get into that as we talk about Super Squad Battle. So they've got Squad Battle coming in. It's basically exactly that. It's going to be 3-on-3 teams battles, the same way you have it inside like Marvel Future Fight, same way you have like Marvel Contest of Champions, where you're going to have 3v3 teams battles. And that basically means that you're going to end up with characters that you're having to find synergies with and so forth like that. The bad thing about it in this game, however, and this is what I'm talking about, is that the cost to invest in other characters is so high. It's one of the main problems with retention in this game. It's one of the reasons why we're talking about a game only a year in, has better graphics and some better game modes than Marvel Future Fight, but is literally underperforming that game. So when we look at this on a whole, we're like, what are you doing? With graphics as good as this, you should be doing better. The game modes suck. It proves that everything shiny is still a turd, right? Just because you shine up a turd doesn't make it any less a turd. It's just a shiny turd at that point. So squad battle is going to be one of those difficult things, because how many players are really going to be engaged where they're going to get these 3v3 team battles? How many people are going to pick up this game for the first time, see Wolverine, and then put him inside a 3v3 team battle because they don't have two other characters that they can balance across there? So at that point, you basically make every new player
way behind, because a 3v3, a new player joining the game because Wolverine is jumping in here is going to want to play squad battle, and then it's just going to make the retention effort even more daunting to them, because they're going to be like, well, I don't have two other players. And as they're trying to level up two other characters, they're going to realize like, whoa, this is going to cost a lot in grind. This is going to cost a lot in money in order to get 3 characters that I can put into squad battle mode, in order to put Wolverine on a team where I can say I really want to engage in PvP with him. This is one of the bad parts of the game. It just is. I don't feel like this is an appropriate thing to release at this point in time, because realistically, squad battle is going to facilitate the whale players that are in the game who just absolutely enjoy PvP and don't mind spending tens of thousands of dollars on a game, on a mobile game, in order to satiate their egos, their desire to be the best of the best, and they're playing for the game. That's just essentially what it's doing. No shame to those people. That's what they want to do, but that's who this is going to apply to. This is not going to apply to new players. This is not going to apply to mid-tier players who are looking at their characters and going, I've got one character that can barely compete inside Alliance Omega War, inside Dimension Duels, and now you want me to build 3 characters for 3v3? So you want me to take away resources from another character? Like, I'm literally sitting here inside my inventory. Now, I'm not kidding you, because I want you to be able to see this. I'm literally sitting inside my inventory and just hoarding. No shit. I'm literally just hoarding items, because it takes that much in order to level up a new character in this game, where it's going to be like 6 months worth of gear that or boxes and things like that I'm going to need in order to level up another character to get them in that 1 million range. Or that 1.5 to 1.7 million range, which is in-game content here. So how many characters can you really do that with without drawing on your main character? That's essentially what I'm looking at with the squad battle, right? So outside of the squad battle, they also talk about some balance adjustments. And the balance adjustments is where they completely lose me in terms of where they're talking about, because we got hero skill balance adjustments. They're literally talking about motion decreases and range increases for Black Widow, reducing some of the motion delay of Iron Man's ultimate skill, and adding barrier and target tracking features for those. I don't really care for their hero balance adjustments. I've played plenty of games like Lost Ark, Black Desert Online, Final Fantasy, where they literally, through their global lab servers, on an almost weekly to bi-weekly basis, are updating a realm of like 20 characters in a bi-weekly basis. We're talking about they can't manage 8 character balance adjustments, and even with the balance adjustments that we as the player base have put forth to them that they need to talk about or they need to address, they seem to get those wrong. So that moves directly into number 2, which is the guard damage increase and the decreased balance adjustments. Guard damage is one of those things that we have consistently said, hey, you know what, we need to fix these things for how they work. There's disproportionate inside the guard damage increases and the decreased stats. I don't think that they're going to get it right. They've not shown the ability to get it right at this point in over a year. So unless something changed on the dev team, I'm not looking forward to any kind of hero balance adjustments at this point. Then the worst part about this dev note is they talk about elemental damage balance adjustments. Storm and Star-Lord are looking to get some form of nerf. We don't want to hear about nerfs in a game where it's this costly in terms of time and money in order to get a character like Storm and Star-Lord up to those higher tiers where they have that high damage output and they have these effects on the gameplays. Leave them alone. Why? We literally went from these characters being on the bottom of the pile to now being somewhat in the top tier of the pile. They're not really in the top tier of the pile, but somewhere in the near top tier of the pile. But that came from change. So now we went from buffing them to get them playable for players that wanted to be enthused about them, to now buffing them, to nerfing them again. Doesn't make sense, guys. Now, one of the things that I am happy to see inside here, I don't know why it took them a year to address this, and that kind of goes to the point of you're not listening to your player base. Omega card exclusive stat change. They specifically call out surface to air damage and air to surface damage, and they're going to fix the Omega card exclusive stats because some of these don't make sense to have on the exclusive stats. That's just simply true. Like, we looked at this, like, we've been talking about this forever. when you look at the exclusive stats on these characters, and you're like, why do we have like certain stats on some of these cards where it's like, I can't even show some of them because I think I like missed out on some of them. But some of these stats that you're looking at, you're like, why do I have these stats on a card? Like, why do I have air to surface damage? Why is that something in there? It's so situational. Anything that's situational for a card that I have to pay for, it's not going to be worth it to me. That's just the truth of the matter. So why even put them inside there? I mean, Doctor Strange pretty much has two stats that are basically enviable for him to have. He basically gets cooldown decrease on all his cards, or you look at just like, well, I want him to compete in PvP, so I'm going to have PvP. I don't even have the desire to re-roll my exclusive stats to say, you know what, I'm going to change it from PvP damage increase to cooldown decrease or something like that because I've already maxed it out in other ways. So I might as well just leave it for PvP damage. It's just weird. Like, you know, I don't get it. Then they talk about the battle challenge trial balance adjustments. They're going to increase the acquirable points when setting higher trial difficulties from the trial steps of the battle challenge round 36 and above. I don't even really bother some weeks with the battle challenge 36 and above. That's just me at this point because the increments that you jump in terms of getting your character up in level from once you hit like that 1.5, 1.7 mark are so minuscule that like competing against those where you need to basically be 2 million power level, it just, as a casual player, unless you're spending money, it just really doesn't make sense. So that's just the truth of it, right? So I'm not excited for squad battle. I am excited to see a new character in Wolverine, but I hope that their update schedule is going to be way more than this. We need to be seeing content, and squad battle, another iteration on PvP, is not new content. It's not. And the worst part about squad battle is, like I said, it's only applicable to a certain percentage of the player base that is currently playing the game. It's just not there. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you excited about Dev Note number 13? Are you excited about Wolverine? And are you excited about squad battle? Let's see what you guys got to say. Until next time, peace.